Hello, just a quick video to remind you on how we solve BODMAS problems. So I say BODMAS problems, but really it's just mathematical problems in general that we're solving, and we're using BODMAS to solve them. So the way to look at it is here, we've got a question, and the first thing we need to do is identify all of the different functions and operations that exist within that question. So for example, I can see I've got 4 squared here. So I've got to multiply 4 by itself. Now, when we talk about square numbers, we are talking about the orders, the O in BODMAS, okay? We've got add here, which is obviously the A in BODMAS, addition. Then we've got brackets here, which is the B in BODMAS. We've got subtract, which is the S in BODMAS, and we've got the multiply, which is the M in BODMAS. So what we need to do is we need to, whenever we get a question that has multiple functions and operations, we need to use BODMAS to solve it in the correct order. So when we get to year 5, and indeed for the rest of our lives, whenever we do maths, we have to use BODMAS to solve questions. So according to BODMAS, the first thing I solve is the B, the brackets. So if I look at this question, I can see I've got brackets. So that's the thing I need to solve first. And inside my brackets, I have 10 subtract 3. Okay, so 10 subtract 3 is 7. So it's up to you what you do here. But what I like to do is I like to get rid of it and replace it with the answer 7. What some people do is just put a line for it and they rewrite the whole expression underneath. But I'm just going to replace it, which is fine. Okay, so what are we left with? We're left with 4 squared plus 4 squared plus 7 multiplied by 2. So we've got 4 squared, which is an O. Remember that comes under orders in BODMAS. We've got addition and we've got multiplication. So what comes first out of those 3 functions and operations? Well, the O does. So we've got to do 4 squared next. So 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16. So I can now replace that with its answer, which is 16. Okay, so now I'm left with 16 plus 7 multiplied by 2. So I've got 2 operations left. I've got add and I've got multiply. Now what comes first out of add and multiply according to BODMAS? The M does, the multiply. So I have to multiply next. So I have to do 7 multiplied by 2. And 7 multiplied by 2 is 14. So I can replace this with the number 14. Okay, now what am I left with? I'm left with 16 plus 14. I've only got one operation, it's add. So I just solve it the way it is, 16 plus 14, which gives me 30. So let's look back at how the question looked at the start. That's my answer now. My answer is 34 squared plus 10 subtract 3 multiplied by 2 is 30. Okay, so I'm going to do it once more, and then there's some questions for you to do. So next question, I have 5 squared plus 7 subtract 2. So which functions and operations do I have in this question? I've got 5 squared, that comes under O in BODMAS. I've got add, which is the A, and subtract, which is the S. So the first thing I do is I do this one because it's the O, it's the one that comes first. So 5 squared, so 5 times 5 is 25. So I'm going to replace 5 squared with 25. Then I've got add 7, subtract 2. So what comes first out of add and subtract? Well, actually, they are both the same value. Add and subtract, that's why they're both in blue. They are both the same value. So the one that comes first is whatever's written first in the question. So we've got add before subtract. So we do add first. The same goes for divide and multiply, or division and multiply. They both have the same value, which is why they're both in the same color. So whichever comes first in the question is the one we solve first. So add comes first. So let's do 25 plus 7 is 32. Subtract 2 equals 30. And that's my answer. I have another answer of 30. Okay. So I will do one more because I'm eager to show you questions that have multiple operations in. So let's look at this question. So it's the last one I'm going to do. So really try your best to focus and understand if you're still struggling. I've got 5 multiplied by 8 in brackets, subtract 5 squared plus 7 multiplied by 2. So what comes first? So if you look at BODMAS, brackets always comes first. So I've got to sort the brackets out first. So in the brackets, I've got 5 multiplied by 8. So let's write the answer to 5 times 8, which is 40. So now my question becomes 40 subtract 5 squared plus 7 multiplied by 2. So I've got subtract squared, which is order or orders, plus and multiply. So what comes first out of all of those? It's the O. So that's the thing I need to solve next. 5 squared, which is 25. So let's put 25 here. Okay, so now what do I have? I have subtract, I have add, and I have multiply. What comes first out of all of those? Multiply. Multiply is before add and subtract. So I need to do that one next. So I've got 7 multiplied by 2, which is 14. All right, now I'm left with 40, subtract 25 plus 14. Now, what do we do next? Do we do subtract or do we do add? Now, remember, it isn't add. If you're tempted to say add, I do understand why you were tempted to say add, because it comes before S, it comes before subtract. But remember, add and subtract are both the same value. They are both written in the same color. They are both the same value. So we do the one that comes first in the question. So in this case, we do subtract first. So 40 subtract 25 is 15, add 14 is 29. So that's my answer to that question. All right, so hopefully you've understood this. Remember, if you don't, just rewatch, watch it again. If I can be clearer on anything, let me know. Let me know how I can be clearer, or ask any questions. But if you are clear, have a look at these questions and see how you get on. See if you can solve these questions, okay? Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.